Welcome into Steelers Talk, Yinzers. My name is Jack Sperry, and today I'm answering your questions on the Pittsburgh Steelers during the Steelers Talk live show on Wednesday. And if you're watching this and it's not Wednesday, then you're not watching it during the live show, but that's okay, because if you want to get your question on next week's live show, you can send in a Super Thanks. So Super Thanks is this awesome new feature, well, relatively new feature, that YouTube has here where you can donate to channels outside of live videos. So you can click the thanks icon. It's that heart with the money sign there in the middle, and you can send any amount, and then you can send your question. We'll get to your question next week on Steelers Talk Live. Really do appreciate the support, and every single Super Thanks that is brought in, we will give a shout out. No Super Thanks this week, so no shout outs, but we appreciate everybody that supports the channel. Now let's get into the questions here with Damian Roy here, starting us off with Benny Snell. Can't fall forward for 2 yards. Cut him. I mean, I'd be okay with cutting Benny Snell. I mean, he's just never really been a good player in the league. He's not somebody that's going to be playing for the Steelers. Now, I trust Mike Tomlin to make the right call here, but overall, I agree with the sentiment here. Benny Snell is not a great receiver. And he also says this: please don't sign Zeke. I think you're good, Damian. I might be jinxing it here by saying that you're good, but I don't think Zeke is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. It might make a little bit of sense if they want to put him at fullback. Might make a little bit of sense if they want to use him as a backup, but I really don't think Zeke wants to be a backup. So I just don't really see that coming to fruition here. I don't see Zeke in black and gold, at least not this year. Then we got a $5 super chat from Austin Tardif here, who says, who would be legitimate offensive coordinator candidates next year if we move on from Matt Canada? It completely depends on who gets fired, who's available, all this different stuff. Like, you know, it's going to depend on which college coordinators rise up the ranks, which guys in the NFL rise up the ranks. We really don't know. I mean, Byron Leftwich is somebody that's available now. That would be a decent option. And then, of course, you know, you got your classic quarterbacks coaches on teams that do really well. I'm sure if Trevor Lawrence has a big year, the quarterbacks coach in Jacksonville is going to get a job somewhere. Like, it's not going to be a coordinator from somewhere else unless they get fired. So it's definitely hard to predict that at this point in time. Then we got Mimic Treasure 235, always in the chat here, says, what do you think the skill floor and ceilings are for our signings from the XFL? So you got Hakeem Butler, and you got Luke Barku, I believe, is the other one. So the ceiling for Hakeem Butler, I mean, it's pretty high because he's a big receiver. If you watch any of the videos of the wide receivers working out at OTAs, he is massive. Even next to George Pickens, he is big. And then he's got the wheels as well. He really showed out in the XFL. The floor is he doesn't make the team. That's the floor. And then Luke Barku, he's somebody that's played in the NFL before with the Jacksonville Jaguars, actually has some playing experience. So his ceiling is, you know, he's a contributor, maybe a backup corner, whatever, but the floor is he doesn't make the team. So that's what I would give there for the answer for the XFL guys. Then you got Derek Chance here. He says, what are the chances that Tanner Morgan wins the emergency quarterback job over Mason Rudolph? So I'd say the chances are low. I think that they like Mason. He knows the offense. He's got a huge advantage over Tanner, especially because he's got a stronger arm than Tanner. He knows the offense better. You know, he has more chemistry with the current coaching staff. All these things are working in Mason's favor. But, you know, if Tanner really comes out and shows out, and apparently he's had a pretty good start to the offseason program. It's just, you know, he doesn't really have the arm strength. He really, really doesn't. And he's really going to have to show out in the intellectual department if he's going to win that number 3 quarterback job. I would really expect Mason to win that job, and then Tanner Morgan to either be on practice squad or to be cut or to be sent somewhere else. So let me know what you guys think. Pick a quarterback 3 to be the emergency quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. If you'd rather go Mason Rudolph, type MR. And then if you'd rather go with Tanner Morgan, type TM in the comment section. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So whenever you get an ad break here, do me a favor, go down there and give me an MR or TM. All right, now we got one from Thomas here who says, why does Austin and Tomlin like Herbert to play edge, but you don't, Jack? I do. I really do, Thomas. I think that he's going to be a really good rotational edge rusher. I think he's going to be somebody that comes in as like a, you know, rotational piece on third down, obvious passing situations. But man, the thing with Herbig is that the big knock on him was that he would just get bullied in the run game in college. That is the thing. Now, he's really good in pass coverage, actually. Like, he's really good at dropping back into zone coverage, which is why the Steelers have said that they're going to be working with him at off-ball linebacker to try to make that transition. I think in year one here, Nick Herbig is going to be a really good rotational edge rusher behind TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, and he'll eventually move over to inside linebacker, where I think he's going to be a longtime starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then you got Matt Hyde here, who says, do you think Ben's comments on his podcast was a good thing or bad thing for Kenny? So for Kenny, I don't think it has any effect on him. I think he's laser focused on the season. I think that he's done everything right so far during the offseason program, during his training and such. He's got with his guys in Florida, all these different things. It seems like he's building the chemistry. He's really taking ownership of Matt Canada's offense this year. It seems like, last year there was no hot routes, there was no audibles, none of this stuff that he could do. But this year, it seems like they might be opening it up a little bit, and they need to do that, in my opinion. And I think Kenny's going to do a really nice job. And when it comes to Big Ben's comments, I just don't understand why. I think, first of all, people are taking it out of context. They're taking the thing that he admitted that he was wrong for thinking. Okay, he doesn't feel that way anymore. People made it seem like, he doesn't want to succeed, whatever. That's not the case right now, and him and Kenny are boys, so I don't think it has any effect on Kenny's play in 2023. Then we got a question from Ahmad here who says, Steelers need another power running back. They could maybe use one, absolutely. You got Najee Harris, who I think is a really good power back. Then you got, you got Jalen Warren, you got Anthony McFarland, Benny Snell, you got Alfonso Graham now, who was a rookie minicamp tryout. All those guys are a little bit smaller. None of those guys are true power dudes, in my opinion. And I think that adding another guy might be nice in case Najee gets hurt, because if you're going to be running a power run scheme and you're going to be running with Jalen Warren and Anthony McFarland and Alfonso Graham as your top three backs, I'm just not sure how effective that would be. So, if Najee Harris gets hurt, watch out. But, I would definitely say getting another power running back is something that the Steelers could do. Then Doom Diddy, I think is how you say it here. He goes, do you think the Steelers could sign Kareem Hunt running back for depth? This would be an interesting one because Kareem is one of those guys that has the good size and good speed as well. I'm a little surprised that he hasn't signed anywhere, to be honest with you, at this point in free agency. Maybe he's got a medical thing. He would be a good fit, in my opinion, with the Steelers. He can't expect to get like a bunch of carries, though, because I do like Najee Harris. I do like Jalen Warren. If you want to bring in Kareem Hunt and have like a true committee at the running back position, I would be okay with that as long as you're not paying Kareem too much money. But man, I think that this would be an interesting proposition and something the Steelers should maybe keep their eye on. Then you got Rondale Jones here who says, do we need D. Hopkins? I don't think we need him, and I don't think that they're going to try to trade for him. I think they like their receivers right now. Deontay Johnson is someone that Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan really, really like. I know a lot of Steelers fans don't like DJ, but I know that the people inside the building really do. He's a great route runner. He was a big-time help for Kenny Pickett towards the end of the season last year. And then George Pickens, they're hoping that George Pickens can be their DeAndre Hopkins type guy this year, playing that X receiver that has great body control and great hands. They're hoping that George Pickens can play that role in their offense this year. So I really don't think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be an option for the Steelers going into 2023. Then we got another question here from W, a bunch of different numbers and letters here. And he says, do you honestly think the Steelers could win the Super Bowl this year with Canada calling the shots on offense? Forgive me for being skeptical. Now, I don't blame you for being skeptical because Matt Canada has not shown that he could be a championship-level offensive coordinator in the National Football League. He just hasn't, okay? But here's the thing. I think that they're converting to more of a power run scheme, which takes less coaching and less finesse and less planning than like a zone run scheme, which is what they ran before. I think that Canada needs to improve with some of his concepts in the passing game. Kenny Pickett and the offense, of course, need to execute them. But, if they figure it out, they're going to be a really, really good football team, even in a loaded AFC. But, man, if Matt Canada is disorganized, predictable, all this different stuff that he's been over the last couple of years, that might be the difference in a loaded AFC North division and in a loaded AFC conference. So will the Steelers be title contenders this season? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section by typing Y if you think yes and you believe, or if you don't believe and you think that they're going to not win the Super Bowl this year, type N for no down in the comments. Next one comes from Big Gerbil here, who says, where do you rate our wide receiver core with the tight ends? So with the tight ends included, I really think that Pat Freiermuth is one of the best receiving tight ends in the National Football League. I might even put him in the top 5 there. He's not on the level of like a Kelsey or a Mark Andrews just yet, but I think this year is really the year that you might be seeing Pat Freiermuth move up those ranks. I think he's an excellent route runner. He's got good hands. I think he's a fantastic player. And then who knows how good Darnell Washington is going to be in years to come. I don't think he's going to be like a stellar receiver in year one. I think he's going to take a little bit of time to get that part of his game right. I think Darnell Washington's going to play a lot as a blocking tight end this year and really move people off the line of scrimmage. He's going to be really, really good at that from day one. But, man, if you have Freiermuth and Washington and they're both really good receivers moving into the future, I mean, just good luck. If Matt Canada can't scheme an offense around those two guys, I don't know what you're talking about here. He needs to go. And I really like Deontay Johnson. I really like George Pickens. I really like some of these secondary pieces that they've got as well with Allen Robinson coming in. Calvin Austin III has been looking good in camp so far. I'm really excited to see what this receiving core is going to look like for the Steelers, and I think they're going to be pretty darn successful. Then we've got a question from Nothing here. Nice name. It says, who do you think we get at quarterback if Kenny is a bust? I have no idea. I have no idea who's going to be available via trade. I have no idea who's going to be available via free agency. I have no idea where the Steelers are going to be picking in the draft, and I don't know which quarterbacks are going to be available in the first round. There's just so much I do not know here. But what I do know is that Kenny Pickett, now at age 25, if he struggles this season, the Steelers do need to look maybe in other areas, okay? Because you can only wait so long with somebody that's already 25 years old. Now, I'm optimistic about Kenny's future. I think he showed some good things towards the end of last season, particularly in those clutch situations. But, man, if he is not great this year and the Steelers win like 3 or 4 games or something like that because Pickett just can't get it figured out, then the Steelers need to look towards another option at quarterback. Then we got Harry99 here. He says, is Najee Harris a top 5 back? I can't put him in top 5 right now. I say that he could be a top 10 guy this year. I believe in him that much. A top 10 guy in this new power run scheme with the way that he can just move, he can just run over people. We saw that towards the end of last season, what he could truly become. He was a really effective power back last year towards the end of the season. He was pretty much the main engine for the Steelers offense towards the end of the season. I'm not going to put him in that top 5 elite category, but man, I think after a good season this year, he might be considered a top 10 guy. So join the fun here and subscribe to the channel. That's going to be it for today's mailbag video. So make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button and turn on your notifications to get access to all of our great videos here. We got OTA coverage coming up, winners and losers. If you want to know which Steelers players are doing well in camp, make sure to click that subscribe button. And as always, guys, here we go, Steelers.